One thing you may be thinking is when you've gotten rid of like 400 items almost by now, you may be feeling like my house looks the same. And that's why we decided to do the challenge twice, was because after the first challenge, 500 items, our house felt like it was the same. We looked around and were like, what did we get rid of? I don't even know. And so we're like, we definitely need to do this again. But also you may look around and analyze, how do you feel in your home right now? How do you want to feel? And what are the areas that are causing the most problems? Because you can go through this challenge and go through your kitchen drawers, you can go through your desk drawer, go through your pens and your notepads and anything like that. And you can get rid of 400 items and never touch anything that your eyes see on a regular basis. And so that doesn't really help you accomplish anything. You don't feel accomplished. You have gotten rid of things, but you don't look around and notice the difference. So you want to look at the areas that bother you the most. Is it a bookshelf that is packed full and it's got way more books and stuff than it can hold? Well, if that's the case, ask yourself, how many of these books do I actually plan on reading again or reading at all? Because a lot of times we have books that we've never read, and if we're really honest, we're not going to read them. And a good way to know the answer to this is, what do I want to stop what I'm doing right now and sit down and read? Not that you can, but what do I want to read that much? And then, to be honest, if there's things that you've owned for years and you've never had the desire to sit down and read it, but you think someday I will want to do this, just really be honest with yourself. Is this like your hypothetical person that, oh, well, this version of me would sit down and read it, but the real me isn't going to read it? If so, then just get rid of it and let someone else read it who will actually read it. So that's one area that can really help declutter your space and make it more visually pleasing, is a bookshelf that is nice and neat and only has books that you're really happy that you have. What about your medicine cabinet? Now, I know this is a cabinet, it's not an open space, but that is one area that you may think about that would be good to declutter. You need to look at things like what's expired. A lot of times we have medicine in our cabinet that's not even good anymore, and so that's an easy trash. And to also look at, what do I need? We may have medicine that we never use. If we have a certain problem, that's not the medicine that we go for something else. And so get rid of those sort of things, duplicates, really old things, and just kind of clear out your medicine cabinet and have it be a space that you can actually see what you have. Another section that may be a problem area for you that would really pay off to sit down and go through is your desk. If you have a desk that is not nice and neat and clutter-free, it can really be visually taxing, basically. And so going through those things, going through your pencils, looking at what is on the desk. Do you need everything to be out on the desk? Or are there things that you can put away after having gone through them that would keep it from being out on display all the time? One thing that I've learned from multiple people is the law that clutter attracts clutter. And so if you want a space to stay clean, then the less items you have on there, the more likely it is to stay clean. If you have several things on there that you're supposed to keep there all the time, it will attract things that don't belong there. Another thing is papers. Like I said, this is a category that you don't want to go through first. This is going to be closer down toward like sentimental items. But if you are going through paper, if that's your main problem, then there is some tips for how long you need to keep certain papers. And I will link that below. I made up a chart. I went through a couple different charts and kind of compiled my own that I felt was more comprehensive. And so you can go through that and see how long you need to keep things, what things you need to keep indefinitely, and it's really not that much. So those are just some tips for things that you can go through. Also your kitchen, looking at your kitchen countertops. Now, in order to clear off your countertops, you may have to clear out some of your cabinet space, but looking at things like, how often do you use your blender or your mixer? Things like that that we have on our countertops that don't get used very often need to be put away. If it's just a once in a while thing, then you can pull it out when it's needed, but you can have cleaner surfaces on an everyday basis. Now, if it's something like your microwave, your toaster for us, things like that that you use every single day almost, then those need to stay out. But the things that are more occasionally used, those, if they can find a home in the cabinet, it will free up your space. And that's another way that you can go through and visually eliminate clutter in your house.